Hello everyone! Welcome back to the That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime summary series on AniMonolith. Continuing from the previous events, Demon Lord Leon has arrived at the Sorcerer's Dynasty Sarion for a meeting with Emperor Elmesia, the ruler of the nation. The purpose of this meeting is Leon wanted to inquire about the 5 children currently under Rimuru's protection in Tempest. Elmesia, as always, was relaxed and playful, greeting Leon with a warm yet teasing tone. You're still as quiet as ever, Leon-kun. It's been ages since your last visit. It's quite boring if you stay like this. The two shared a long history. They weren't just rulers or business partners, but also old friends. Back when Leon was still a hero, he had operated near Sarion's borders and became acquainted with Elmesia. However, knowing that time was of the essence, Leon wanted to cut straight to the point. But before he could even begin speaking, Elmesia effortlessly derailed the conversation, offering him a cookie and a cup of tea. These are made by Yoshida, a chef I'm quite fond of. Leon, uninterested in sweets, initially declined, but Elmesia insisted, claiming they weren't too sweet and were infused with matcha. Having spent years dealing with stubborn individuals like Elmesia and Ramirez, Leon knew it was pointless to resist. Suppressing his worries, he reluctantly reached for a cookie. At that moment, Elmesia casually stated, "So, what brings you here? You want to ask if I've seen any children in Demon Lord Rimuru's nation, don't you?" Her guess was completely accurate. Leon also confessed that because of a former subordinate of his, Rimuru had a prejudice against him. Without hesitation, Elmesia brought up a name, Shisu Izawa, the hero known as the Conqueror of Flames. Leon was shocked. His connection to Shizu was highly classified information, so how had Elmesia learned about it? The intelligence network of Sarion must have been far more extensive than he had imagined. Despite his shock, Leon remained composed. He was a man who could maintain control over a conversation, even when speaking with Guy Crimson. But with Elmesia, things were different. From the very start, she had been completely in control of the discussion. To move things forward, Leon revealed his true intention. He wanted to send an invitation to Rimuru to clear up their misunderstanding. He also admitted that fighting Rimuru would be too dangerous. Hearing this, Elmesia agreed. She revealed that Sarion had already formed an alliance with Tempest. This didn't surprise Leon. Rimuru was an easy person to negotiate with, and a strong candidate for alliances. If things had been different, Leon would have done the same. However, he had to admit, he had indeed treated Shizu poorly. Understanding that Leon didn't want to go to war with Rimuru, Elmesia also said that in the event of a war between Eldorado and Tempest, she would intervene. To spoil some information in advance, she also mentioned that the 5 children had been very happy during Tempest's founding festival. At this, Leon's usual cold demeanor completely melted away. He immediately pressed her for more details, but this was Elmesia, a master of diplomacy, ranked among the top in the entire world of slime. She playfully dodged his eagerness. Ara, one step at a time. This cake is just too good. Leon, internally frustrated, thought to himself, this is exactly why I don't like coming here. Still, he pushed forward. Among those children, is there a girl named Chloe? This was a risky move. Leon knew that merely mentioning Chloe's name could expose her to potential danger. However, he trusted Elmesia as a friend, and the current situation demanded honesty. Elmesia, sensing his sincerity, acknowledged his trust. Very well, Demon Lord Leon. Since you have placed your trust in me, I shall be generous and assist you. She then provided detailed information about the 5 children, Kenya Masaki, Ryota Sekiguchi, Gail Gibson, Alice Rondo, and finally Chloe Aubert, the very person Leon had been searching for. Basically, Amicia would tell Leon that information sooner or later, and she also understood that this Demon Lord had a kind heart. Still, with his cold attitude, Demon Lord title, and lack of explanation, it was no wonder people misunderstood him as a villain. Even his relationship with Shizu had suffered because of this. Leon, as stubborn as ever, refused to entertain such theories. I have sacrificed countless people for my own interests. If it means saving her, I don't care what methods I use, I will bear all the consequences myself. Despite his cold and detached exterior, this statement proved that he was still a hero at heart. With the information Elmesia provided, Leon confirmed that Rimuru was taking excellent care of the children. However, he also suspected that someone was deliberately trying to lure him out of Eldorado. Is it the Rossos, or maybe Cerberus? I even have my suspicions on Demon Lord Luminous. Isn't that what you were worried about, Leon-kun? Elmesia's words made Leon feel that this woman was indeed very scary. Not in terms of combat ability, but in terms of political ability. Her political intelligence and foresight were beyond anything Leon had encountered before. Elmesia continued to summarize the situation to Leon. According to that, there was no conflict between Tempest and Lubelius. As for Cerberus, they were trying to drag Leon into this matter, and this was definitely a trap. In addition, the Rosso family had mobilized all their forces, even the northern defense line, to prepare for a secret attack on Lubelius. Even their foreign intelligence operatives had been recalled. That was causing everything to fall into an unstable state. With the Rosso family's northern defenses weakened, Guy Crimson's demons could easily invade the continent. If they attacked, the Western nations would be in grave danger. Thinking about that, Leon felt very worried, seeing Leon's heroic spirit shine brightly. Elmesia, delighted by this, couldn't resist teasing him. You know, if you were always like this, you'd be much more charming. At this time, Leon said that he wanted to negotiate with Guy about the demons. However, Guy was a hot-tempered person. If he wasn't careful, it would even backfire. Both of them understood the reality of the situation. Guy wasn't unleashing his demons out of malice, but rather for entertainment. For now, they needed to prove humanity's strength and worth. To buy time, Elmesia offered to send Saurian's mages to support the northern border. Meanwhile, Leon would head to Lubelius immediately. However, traveling there was another problem. Leon could not teleport to places he had never been. Additionally, Lubelius was protected by a holy barrier, preventing teleportation entirely. To assist him, Elmesia offered Leon the use of her legendary dragon ship, currently the fastest way to reach Lubelius. Leon, grateful, accepted her offer. As he was leaving, he decided to drop one final piece of shocking news for Elmesia. The yellow primordial has disappeared. This information shocked Elmesia to the core. Leon immediately felt like he had dealt a knockout blow during his conversation with Elmesia. As soon as he finished speaking, Leon sent the ship straight to Lubelius, leaving Elmesia holding her head in thought. A primordial disappearing while half of Saurian's mages were on a mission? This could be dangerous for the kingdom. But Leon did not take action to deal with it, proving that there was no danger yet. Elmesia frowned in her mind, and she made a silent vow to sharpen her intelligence network even further. At this moment in Lubelius, Rimuru was enjoying breakfast with Hinata. Feeling the cool morning breeze, he thought today would be a great day. However, his peaceful moment was abruptly interrupted when a Holy Knight reported that someone had broken into the Grand Cathedral and was fighting the Holy Knights. Stay calm. How many enemies are there, and what are our casualties? Hinata's handling the situation of the matter left Rimuru impressed. According to the report, around 100 enemy combatants had invaded, all of whom were at least as strong as a rank B+ monster. Their movements suggested that they were well acquainted with Lubelius' layout. Although they had already taken down a number of enemies, Lubelius had suffered significant losses. Several rookie Holy Knights were injured, and even a few of the Pope's Imperial Guards had been killed. Fortunately, no civilians had been harmed. Hinata immediately issued orders for a full-scale counterattack, mobilizing all available Holy Knights. However, Rimuru had a more immediate concern: the Grand Cathedral, the exact location where Tempest Orchestra had stored their instruments, and was conducting rehearsals for an upcoming performance. The children had also gone there to play today, which meant they were in danger. Hearing this, Rimuru anxiously turned to Diablo, only to see his usual confident smile. Venom has already reported in. Everything is under control. The band members are inside the Grand Cathedral, completely safe, and they are proceeding with their rehearsal as planned. Rimuru quietly praised Venom and his subordinates. Despite the chaos, they were managing things flawlessly. It was only natural. If they couldn't even handle a situation like this, they wouldn't be worthy of serving under me. Diablo is very confident when saying this. Not wanting to waste any time, Rimuru activated spatial domination, opening a portal and teleporting straight to the Grand Cathedral. In fact, Lubelius was covered by a holy barrier can prevent teleportation, but Rimuru was still able to teleport because they didn't place any teleport barriers within the country. Upon arrival, Rimuru was immediately met with the sound of battle, a chaotic symphony of panic and destruction. He quickly noticed the fear written on the faces of the orchestra members. There's nothing to fear. Have you all forgotten what Rimuru-sama said? He promised to protect you, so all you need to do is focus on your music. It was Shion who was showing her leadership qualities, and it immediately worked. Seeing Rimuru's presence, they regained their composure, smiled, and resumed their rehearsal as if nothing had happened. Soon, a powerful, majestic performance filled the air, drowning out the sounds of battle outside. At that moment, the Grand Cathedral felt more like a grand stage than a war zone. Watching this, Rimuru couldn't help but feel proud. Immediately, the mission was set. Diablo and Shion would protect the children. Even though Kumara is here, she only has one tail, so she basically has no fighting ability. As for Rimuru, he will support Lubelius in repelling the enemy. Shion looked at Diablo and expressed her surprise at how obedient he was. Even though Shion was stunned, Rimuru didn't have time for small talk. Without hesitation, he headed straight into the battlefield. Glancing at the battlefield, Rimuru quickly realized that the chaos was overwhelming. Over 100 fighters clashed violently. The most prominent was the battle between Hinata and an old man. His straight posture, sharp eyes, and the powerful dominating aura. This man was none other than Granbell Rosso, the leader of the Rosso family. Maria, go find Lumina-sama and bring her here. If she resists, eliminate her on the spot. As soon as Granbell issued the order, a mysterious woman appeared. Her appearance was strikingly similar to Maria Bell, leading Rimuru to assume they were related. Based on genetic analysis, there's no evidence of them being blood relatives. Rimuru was surprised by Raphael's ability to deduce such conclusions just from observation, but decided to set that aside for now. What puzzled Rimuru even more was that Maria didn't seem strong enough to fight Luminous alone. Yet, Granbell was completely confident in her abilities. Rimuru stepped forward, hoping to resolve the conflict through diplomacy. Granbell-san, it's a pleasure to meet you. I am Demon Lord Rimuru. So, you are Demon Lord Rimuru? How dare you kill my Maria Bell? Hearing these words, Rimuru felt a little disappointed. The first sentence was already accusing someone like this, so how could he negotiate? Realizing that a peaceful resolution was impossible, Rimuru braced himself for battle. Granbell, however, wasn't focused on fighting Rimuru just yet. A mere newly ascended demon lord like you? There's no way you can defeat me. I'll deal with you later. For now, just stand aside and watch as I take care of your allies. As soon as he said that, Nicholas, Leonard, Arno, and Ritase charged toward Granbell. Hinata-sama, just stay back and watch me handle this. Nicholas shouted as he began chanting to activate his ultimate holy spell, Disintegration. Meanwhile, the other knights surrounded Granbell to buy him time. Rimuru observed their battle and thought that under normal circumstances, their combined strength should be enough to win, but Granbell was on a completely different level. Despite being outnumbered, Granbell effortlessly countered every attack. What was more concerning was that he didn't even bother to stop Nicholas's chanting. He was so confident that he didn't see disintegration as a threat. Finally, Nicholas completed the spell. A blinding pillar of light shot toward Granbell. Impressive spell casting. This is a great example of how well someone can manipulate the flow of magic. Granbell said mockingly, as if he were a teacher lecturing a student. At that moment, Hinata's expression changed drastically, as if she had just realized something crucial. But before she could react, a beam of light flashed and went straight for Granbell. But to everyone's surprise, its trajectory changed and was absorbed by the sword in Granbell's hand. Granbell unleashed a counterattack. It was Melt Slash, the ultimate sword technique Hinata had developed. Everyone, spread out! Hinata shouted. Despite her warning, the attack was too fast. A split second after the Meteor Slash ended, Hinata and her legendary-grade Moonlight Rapier were still safe and sound. However, Nicholas was heavily injured, and the three captains were also sent flying by the shockwave and lay on the ground. Hinata's calm expression disappeared. Hinata stared at Granbell in shock. She never expected him to be this powerful. It seems I've lost my touch over the years. None of you died. That demon lord must have saved you. Hinata looked towards Rimuru and regained her composure when she understood that he had saved her comrades. In reality, Rimuru had activated absolute defense the moment he recognized Granbell's technique. The barrier was strong enough to block most of the attack, but a small portion of the shockwave still managed to slip through, nearly killing the knights. Before that was Hinata. Now it was Granbell. In the past, there was a hero who sealed Veldora that made Rimuru understand that there were still humans in this world capable of standing against him. Just as the battle seemed to reach its peak, a massive explosion erupted from the Grand Cathedral. That must be Rajun. I ordered him to destroy the Grand Cathedral, and it looks like he's following through, Granbell explained. Casually, Granbell explained, and it shocked Rimuru. The band and the children were there. Even though they had guards, a battle of this scale meant innocent people could still be harmed. Rimuru immediately prepared to teleport back to the Grand Cathedral. However, Granbell had prepared a gift for him, which were the summoned ones. A group of more than 10 people of diverse ages and ethnicities appeared. Some of them were also Rimuru's compatriots, and they all possessed magic that far exceeded that of normal people. They seemed to be controlled by a curse, just like Gwendol had been before. Even if Rimuru were to break the curse, they might still continue attacking. Will you hesitate to kill the innocent, or will you see this as a war and choose self-defense? Either option is fine by me. Granbell knew Rimuru's weakness, his compassion, and he wanted to create a battle of wits with Rimuru. If Diablo or Xion were here, they would eliminate these enemies without hesitation. But Rimuru wasn't like them. Damn it, this is so troublesome. Despite the situation, Rimuru had no choice. He decided to dispel the curse on each of them one by one and subdue them without killing anyone. And so Rimuru was forced into battle once again. That was the developments in today's video. Thank you for listening. Goodbye, and see you in the next videos.